friends, are you getting ready to run Tough Mudder? If so, then this video is for you. The purpose of this video is to show you an entire Tough Mudder race. And during the course of the race, I'm going to give you tips that you can use so when it's time for you to do Tough Mudder, you'll be as prepared as possible. Hey guys, my name is Mike. I'm the editor of 40 Plus Fitness and also the YouTube channel called The Helpful Dad. Hopefully this video is going to be helpful to you. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, my friends, this is the start of Tough Mudder. Everybody's very excited and pumped up. Here's the first obstacle on some of the races. It's called Steeplechase. Now, the key is don't just go jumping over this because look what's on the other side. You jumped over that, you're out of the race in the first one. Now, next is Arctic Enema. A crazy, crazy cold ice bath, but I'll tell you what, it's really, really exhilarating. So don't skip this obstacle. I hope you don't skip any obstacles, but definitely don't skip this one because when you come out of this, you're going to feel alive. You're going to climb up, you got to jump in, and then you got to go under that wooden beam right there. And some people come up first. I like to hold my breath and just come up after, just go all the way under to get it, to get through it as quickly as possible. But I got to tell you, man, when you come out, it is absolutely crazy, crazy cold. Look at these guys here, man. They're just trying to get warm. They're jumping around because it's just insane how cold it is. So the next obstacle in this particular course is called underwater tunnels. There's barbed wire on those barrels, so make sure you don't put your hands on the barrels right there. I always recommend you actually wear gloves anyway, that you can see we're doing right here. You're just basically going to go under the barrels. It's a series of 4 barrels. You're going to go under and then come up the other side. Now, if you're wondering, I'm actually using the Kodak Play Sport camera to film this, and it is waterproof. So if you want to learn more about that, we have another video about that as well, too. But very, very cool there. In this particular case, the next obstacle is actually called Kiss of Mud. So it's you basically got to crawl on your stomach through here, and there's barbed wire above you, so obviously you can't get up. And actually, the barbed wire gets lower as you go along, so you basically have to crawl through that mud. But hey, that's what Tough Mudder is all about. You're going to get muddy right from the beginning, and you're going to have a great time. So this is again called Kiss of Mud. As you can see you can see how low we have to get in order to be able to do this. But it's a fun, this is actually a fun obstacle, really not very difficult in terms of degree of difficulty, and you should be able to get through it pretty quickly. Now, I wanted to point out to you that there actually are a number of rest stations and water stations throughout the course. Every 2.5 to 3 miles, you're actually going to get a rest station and a water station, and so keep that in mind. This is tire pendulum. I hope they get rid of this obstacle. It's just so easy. Basically, you're just going through a series of tires, and there really isn't much to it. But I see it at a lot of different mud races. I guess it's just an easy obstacle to do. But as you can see, you're just going to pretty much go right through this, and there's not much to it. So that's, again, tire pendulum. Okay, coming up on the next obstacle now, what you're going to see here is that hell starts here with the spider's web. Now, if you can see in the background people climbing over the spider's web, it's important that when you get up to the top, don't go real fast because, it is kind of a long way down. You certainly don't want to fall, so just be a little bit careful up at the top and you'll be fine. Also, you should have lots of assistance on the way down. Now, as you can see here, there's a little bit of a dig at Warrior Dash. Warrior Dash would have ended at the 3.1 mile mark, whereas Tough Mudder really is just getting started. Okay, coming up to the next obstacle here, pretty much this is just going over a bale of hay right here. It's quite easy, as you can see, just climbing over a couple bales of hay onto the other side. Really not much to it, so it should be pretty easy for you. Okay, coming up on the next obstacle right here, and this is actually called Devil's Beard. Essentially, it's like a giant mud pit like the Kiss of Mud. However, you don't have to crawl, and there's a net over all of you. So as you're going to be going through this net, which is above you, the net actually gets a little bit annoying. And also, there's tons of mud. Now, this is from a Florida course right here, and it was in some cow pastures, and it really, really stinks in there, so let me tell you. So be prepared for that. There also was lots of mud puddles and holes that you could fall into. And again, you always want to make sure you don't lose a shoe in the mud. Always try to point your toe as you go in so you don't get your heel caught right there. But as you can see, it's quite a distance right here, and as you're going to make it through the other side, you can see it goes back quite a ways. And you'll get your mud up to your knees, no doubt about it. Again, this is Tough Mudder, so you're certainly going to get dirty. But as you can see right there, certainly lots of fun, and again, lots of mud as well too. So that's what makes it. That's what this is all about, right? So as we move on to the next obstacle, let's see what we've got coming up here. Okay, actually, this is going to be the ball shrinker, and this is actually quite fun. As you can see people in the background, you've got to go climb over backwards through the water while you're holding onto the rope right there. It's very cold water, so it lives up to its name, but it's actually a lot of fun. So that's the ball shrinker, and a pretty good one. Okay, coming up to the next one. This is the first of a couple sets of Berlin walls. Now, this is the lower set of walls, and most likely you're going to be able to get over this by yourself without much assistance. You know, if you've got just some upper body strength and you've been training, you should be able to pull yourself over. If you do need help, though, certainly there'll be people that are going to be there to be able to help you out. I mean, if you're running by yourself, there usually are teammates that are going to help you. But as you can see, really it's quite easy. Here I come coming over the top, and it's really not much to it. This is the first step. There will be a higher set of Berlin walls later on in the course. All right? And again, another member from our team coming over the top. So good stuff right here. You should be able to do that pretty easily, though. Again, you do have multiple rest stations, and with porta potties, you usually get oranges and bananas. So there's every 2.5 to 3 miles, there is a rest station, so keep that in mind. Okay, now this is mile 4 here coming up on this particular course. And next we're going into the trenches. It's also called the mud mile in some courses as well too. And this is actually a ton of fun. As you can see, you're getting into this what looks like just a harmless creek. However, there's holes. And because there's holes that you can't see, this is what happens. You end up falling down into the mud. Now that one was a little bit staged by Todd on our team right there, but let me tell you, this is actually tons and tons of fun. You have no idea where the trenches are at or the holes are at, and so again, you're going to fall. It takes a while to get through this particular obstacle, and especially if there's a crowd of people around you, people are falling all over the place. It just makes it hilarious, and I think it's one of the most fun portions of the entire obstacles with Tough Mudder. Again, it's just chaos is really the best word to describe this particular one. And people like myself just fell down right there as you're trying to get through. And even if you try to go on the sides, you know, which is a little bit cheating, I would say, again, you're just going to be falling all over the place. You're going to get very dirty and muddy, and it actually takes a lot out of you. And again, make sure you don't lose a shoe in the mud. Point those toes as you go in. But as you can see, people are walking by the time they get done with this because they're quite exhausted. So again, that's called the trenches or the mud mile. Now you got to be careful, and depending on if you're doing this in a pasture where there are cows, watch out for those cow traps right there so you don't fall in there. Next obstacle in this course is called Dirty Holes. It's actually pretty easy. It's just a series of holes that you're going to crawl through like a little tunnel. And even if you're claustrophobic, actually it's really quite wide in there. The boa constrictor, which comes up later, is a lot more narrow than this. And you can pretty much see light at the end of the tunnel fairly quickly on this. Just watch out for the barbed wire. You obviously don't want to get caught on that. But again, this is called Dirty Holes. You're just going to crawl right through it. And again, it's really not very far. And like I said, you can almost see light coming up there at the front. So pretty easy one, and not really not much to it. Again, now we're on mile 5 on this particular course right here. This is Twinkle Toes. Now, as you can see, it's a balance beam, and it kind of wiggles as you go across. See people falling off left and right. The key on this one, watch this guy going here on the right-hand side. He's done pretty well, but he's going to fall at the very end because you want to try to keep both feet on at all times. Some people actually crawl across this as another method, but this guy here almost makes it to the end, and watch this. On the right-hand side, he falls. Just at the end, the next person makes it through. So it can be done, but it does wiggle quite a bit, so keep that in mind. Okay, coming up with the next one. Now, this is the boa constrictor, and this is actually one of the tougher ones, I think. Basically, it's a series of 2 corrugated pipes. The first one, you're going to crawl through it and go down into water, and then you're going to have to crawl up. On the way down, it's actually fairly easy. You know, if you're a little claustrophobic, it could kind of get you, especially if you're with someone in front of you and someone behind you. You just kind of got to make sure you're breathing, go on through. Pretty much you're going to use your elbows or your hands to kind of pull yourself through. And some courses have more water in the middle than others. As you'll see, this one is actually kind of easy right here. Not a lot of water. The more water there is at the end, the more of a feeling of claustrophobia you have. Now, on the way up, this is where you want to make sure you don't underestimate it. Now, again, you can't stand up in the middle because there is barbed wire right there. But on the way up, you know, you got to make sure that you really are pulling yourself up, I think, with your hands, with your elbows, your forearms or your hands. The guy in front of me, as you can see, he turns sideways and pushes up with his feet. Be careful on that because that's real easy to make your foot slip, and you can actually pull a groin. This is the tip that I'm actually giving you right here, is on your way up, make sure you're using your forearms. And if you go to the side, you really could pull a groin. So I wouldn't do that. I'd probably use more of your arms on this one. All right. So the next one here at mile 6 is walk the plank. And actually someone just did a flip off that if you want to rewind that real quick and see it. Basically, you're going to climb up to the top of that platform, and you're going to have to jump right down. So here's me as I go down. Excuse the pose, and right on down. And it's actually higher than it looks on the video. And it's actually a lot of fun. So don't, make sure you do this one. It's actually quite good. Couple cute girls, always got to film those as you're going through. Take the opportunity when you have the camera to do it while you can. Okay, the next one here is called actually Cliffhanger, and on this particular course, it's really quite easy. I've seen some other courses where this is more muddy, and you can't really get your footing. But on this particular course, if you've got a dry course, you can pretty much run right up it. As you can see, the guy in black is doing right there. It's really wasn't very hard on this course, but some are harder than others. Again, this is Danielle from our team, does a great job of coming right up. That's the Cliffhanger obstacle. So excellent job. And that's the thing about Tough Mudder. It is great for men and women of all ages, if you're at least 18, of course. And again, always lots of funny signs as you go through the course. And of course, this one's not funny. You don't want to have a heart attack. Okay, the next one is bale bonds, or Jumpin' Bale, as they call it here. And you're just jumping from one hay bale to the next. Not much to it. Again, mile number 7 on this particular course. This was Gator Bait. This was a Florida course. It really wasn't much to this obstacle. I think they just kind of named a section of the course Gator Bait. Fortunately, there was no gators even in the water right here. And of course, if you stick together, you never know when wildlife's going to be there, but if you stick together, you have a better chance of not being encountered with wildlife, and there wasn't really any on this particular course, so just not much to it. I doubt you'll see this obstacle at too many other ones. Mile number 8 right here. Here's my friends eating peanut butter and jelly sandwich that they packed along. So, it's a long course. You got to keep your nutrition up. So you got to do what you can. So anyway, this is Firewalker. Kind of a disappointing obstacle. Really not much to it. Fire is pretty well spread out on the sides. Hardly even feel it. The biggest part of this that's difficult is just the smoke, especially as you go downwind if the smoke follows you. But it really is not very hard at all, so I wouldn't worry too much about Firewalker. Okay, coming up next, mile number 9. This is a 12-mile course. This is the higher Berlin walls right here. I believe these are 12 or 14 feet. And most likely you probably will need some assistance on this. And again, that's what's great about Tough Mudder's teamwork. Even if you're not there with a team, there's be someone there most likely to help you. But the key on this is make sure that you don't underestimate how far it is on the way down on the other side. While we were doing this, someone made that very mistake, ended up falling down, twisting a knee, and they're out of the race. So, the thing about Tough Mudder is you just got to try to survive through it without injuries, and you most likely can make it through. This guy here almost fell down right there. So, again, try to be careful. There is someone on the side being attended to right now, again, because like I said, they underestimated how far it was on the other side. So just lower yourself down, and again, you will be fine. So if you can do that, again, if you need help with a teammate, they can certainly help you as well too. But that's the higher Berlin walls. This one's called Carry Your Wood. In this particular case, you're just going to carry a log by yourself, walk through the water. But make sure you watch out for holes that are dug in the water. I almost pulled a calf muscle on this one, and you just got to be careful. Okay, mile number 10. This is the Funky Monkey bars. And I think the key on this is to use 2 hands per monkey bar. Some people just do 1-1-1, but you got to realize that it can be very slippery on those. And even if I wear gloves when I'm doing the monkey bars, I still haven't had a problem. But if you can get halfway through, you're home free to the other side. Okay, next is called Just the Tip. You don't see this one too often, or you see different versions of it, but this one absolutely kills your calf muscles. You have to hang on the side with your fingertips and balance on your toes to make it through this wall. And again, there are breaks in the wall as well too. High failure rate on this one, but it's actually quite fun if you can make it through. Only 2 people on our team actually made it through it, and as you can see, most people were having to fall on this as well too. Okay, mile number 11. You're really almost through here at the Tampa course. This is called Turd's Nest. Pretty easy. It's a big cargo net in the middle. You climb up the sides. You can roll down through the cargo net and then climb down the other side. Really not a whole lot to that one. Should be pretty easy for you. Really, I don't think you'll have a problem with that. Okay, the next one is the Giant Hay Pyramid. And again, it's really not very hard, especially if you need help, you have a teammate right there. But what you want to be aware of is when you're coming up to this, a lot of people are exhausted by this point. Don't underestimate how tall it is, especially on the way down. It's actually pretty steep on the other side. And again, Todd's pretty excited about that. So just make sure that you do take your time on the way down. You certainly don't want to fall and hurt yourself when you're this far through the course. And take a look here. Here's Captain America coming through. So you never know who you're going to see at Tough Mudder. In this case, we had a superhero here as well, too. Okay, Everest, one of my favorite ones. The key on this is run as fast as you can, trust yourself, and you'll have teammates at the top. But if you can run fast enough, you won't even need anybody's help. So it is a high degree of failure on this one the first time, but it can be done, and especially with help, you can actually do this. Final thing here is ElectroShock Therapy. You're going to get shocked. They spray you with water as you go through, but just be prepared that, especially if you have feelings, you may really feel it in your head right there. But just run through as fast as you can, take the shocks, and ouch, ooh, ah, there you go. And once you make it through this is usually the last obstacle on any Tough Mudder, and you're going to be good to go. So that is an entire Tough Mudder race right here as we're taking you through. Hopefully these tips will help you. As you can see, we're coming up to the finish line right now, and this is the end of Tough Mudder. Take a look at